Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 29th of October, Sunday, so I hope you have a great day and great weekend. Now it's 10 past 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late in the evening during the live stream at 7 o'clock by Moscow time, during the which I will share additional news that will be reported by Russian media, and also we can have an exchange of opinions in real time, and as usual I will actively monitor chat, and whenever I see any questions I will try to answer on those. Hopefully you will find time to join the conversation. 7 o'clock this evening Moscow time. That's been said, let's talk about the news now, and I will start with Ukrainian special military operation. According to reports from Russian media and Russian Defense Ministry, during the previous 12 to 24 hours there was no significant changes on line of contact. It's artillery duels mainly, local scale skirmishes, reckoning force operations or local scale offensive operations, initiative in Russian hands all along the front line on every single sector. And despite the many attempts from Kiev regime to regain initiative on any of the directions, Ukrainian these local scale offensive operations are failing one after another, and probably because of this desperation in Kiev regime, among members of Kiev regime, they made decision to conduct a large-scale drone strike in direction of Crimea. And according to reports from Russian media, Russian air defense systems shut down 36 drones over the Black Sea while these drones were approaching Crimea. At this point, we don't have any reports about casualties on the ground or significant damage. Probably none of these drones did reach peninsula itself, but anyway, we will learn some more about this yet another failed attempt of Kiev regime to strike Crimea during the day, and of course I will share additional news on my Telegram page and during the live stream this evening. And dear friend, there are so many news that I want to share with you that I will not spend too much time on details about these local scale skirmishes. There are many other channels, as we all know, that devote much more time in detailed discussion of these changes on the front line. My program mainly about news, so I will continue exactly with this, with the reports on Russian media. And we have RIA Novosti's report about also drone strike, but this time drone strike that took place on 26th of October. And I did report initially about this drone strike because on the first day Russian media did report that there were several drones launched by Kiev regime in direction of Kursk region, and all of them were shut down. Then later on, some reports came in that were indicating that Kursk nuclear power plant was operating as normal, although there was no official statements yet. But day before yesterday, official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, day before yesterday or even yesterday, official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, did make a statement that three Ukrainian drones strike Kursk nuclear power plant, did not just manage to go through Russian air defense systems, but make their landing on Kursk nuclear power plant. One drone hit storage for spent nuclear rods or nuclear fuel. And as a result of that strike, wall of that container where this nuclear fuel was stored was damaged, and two other drones did strike on administrative buildings of Kursk nuclear power plant. And according to Maria Zakharova, some details, some elements of these drones were produced by NATO member states, which is not surprising. We all know that basically vast majority of weapons that Kiev regime uses are basically delivered from West or produced in Ukraine with the support of NATO member states, and drones included. There is no way around of this this incident other than call it nuclear terrorism, and that's what Russian side does, and officially. And now only question is how will Russian leaders respond on this, and what steps will be taken to make sure that these attempts of Kiev regime to create some nuclear disaster in Russia will not achieve its goals and will fail. Let's see. During the night time, by the way, Russian forces did conduct some drone and missile strikes on logistical and military infrastructure of Kiev regime, primarily in the direction of Khmelnytsky region in this area. But I will not call this retaliation strike. I'm interested, like I guess many citizens of Russia, how Moscow will respond, because this is very serious. This is very serious. Nuclear objects, nuclear facilities in Russia are in danger of terrorist attacks from Kiev regime, and something definitely has to be done, and probably will be done. We will find out what exactly in upcoming days, I guess. Very serious stuff. If you remember, I was saying in previous updates that Zelensky and his associates will probably try to regain attention of the Western masters and Western public or so-called media by conducting some provocations. And mainly I was talking about some provocations inside the territory that is still controlled by Kiev at this point. Zelensky's regime many times targeted their own civilians and to blame Russia. So it will be nothing new to conduct a bigger scale, larger scale, such terrorist act on against Ukrainian civilians, to blame Russia and then regain attention from West this way. It's not going to be not anything new for Kiev regime. They always kill their civilians. It's usual stuff for Zelensky, and I was also thinking that maybe they will try to attack Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and that kind of attack also may take place. But as we can see here, Kiev regime go even further than that, and they did try to strike or create nuclear disaster on Russian soil in Kursk region. Although at this point, of course, Zaporozhye nuclear power plant is also on Russian soil. According to Russian constitution, Zaporozhye region is a part of Russia. But anyway, very significant development, very significant and dangerous development. And one may wonder how Moscow will respond on this new level of terrorist threat that Kiev regime is creating for Russian society and the Russian state. Let's continue anyway with news. RIA Novosti is reporting that during the skirmishes in Zaporozhye region during the previous 24 to 48 hours, Ukrainian forces lost 80 soldiers and yet another Leopard 2 main battle tank. On my Telegram, by the way, I did share this morning 2 videos with destruction of Leopard tanks. This is one video here. As you can see, Leopard tank is damaged and basically out of action. And also, by the way, this video here also clearly shows how cheap FPV drone is attacking Leopard 2 tank, which costs, I don't know, somewhere around $4 to $6 million, maybe more. You can clearly identify visually that this is a Leopard, and that's a result, by the way. Another Leopard is burning somewhere in Zaporozhye sector of the front line. So lately, I don't know why, maybe yet again out of desperation, but Kyiv regime did try to send these armed units, heavily armed units, in this local scale suicidal offensive operations, and as a result of it, almost on daily basis now we are receiving reports that these Western-made battle tanks have been destroyed in quite numbers. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that a group of Ukrainian military personnel did lay down arms and surrendered in Kupiansk direction. This is also a daily occurrence at this point, and more Ukrainian units are making right decision and surrendering all along the front line. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that according to statements of Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, Western so-called elites, West is basically afraid to face the truth and recognize that Ukraine lost this conflict on the battlefield and would not be able to turn the tide. Yet again, Orban is on top of the game. He always was, and he is absolutely correct. Western so-called elites are kind of hostages of their own propaganda, and they were pushing this narrative that Ukraine is winning, that Ukraine will defeat Russia on the battlefield, and other crazy stuff that it seems like they cannot change their position now. They are hostages of their own propaganda, because I guess public would not understand them if they will say anything else. Although one day or another, these so-called leaders of the Western world will be forced to face reality. That will happen. It's just inevitable. But of course, Orban is right when he says that these leaders of the Western states are afraid to face the reality. And, you know, it will stay this way for some time, but at some point they have to recognize what's really going on. And also RIA Novosti is reporting that Foreign Minister of Hungary, Peter Szijjártó, did make statement that Budapest is ready to be host country if Kiev and Moscow are willing to conduct negotiations about ceasefire. And great step yet again from Hungary, but we all know that Zelensky and his associates have no permission to have any peace talks with Russia whatsoever, and it will not change. It will just not change. Western so-called elites will use Ukraine against Russia until anybody in Ukraine willing to take arms and fight against Russia on behalf of Western so-called elites. RT is, by the way, also reporting that according to statements from new Speaker of House in US, Mike Johnson, Biden must explain Ukraine endgame. And according to him, Republicans in Congress are demanding not just accountability from Biden's administration to know, after all, where all those billions went that formally was sent to Kyiv regime, and same time, some group of Republicans, not all of them, because we all know many Republicans, like many neolibs, are warmongers and bloodthirsty creatures, and they will never ever talk about accountability or peace talks or anything like that. But there are some group in the Republican Party, including in Congress, that are demanding not just accountability from Biden's administration, but also to be explained what end game for current administration of US is when it comes to Ukrainian crisis. What is the end game for Biden? That's a good question, isn't it? Because at this point, I don't think anybody in White House does understand what their end game really is. They wanted to use Ukraine to damage Russia as possible, to create this, to demonize Russia, to create new Iron Curtain between Russia and Europe, and they did succeed in this. But when it comes to end game of this crisis, what is the end game? Or that was all, to demonize Russia and create this Iron Curtain between the sides, and how US gonna pull out itself from this crisis from now on, or these transfers of billions and billions in cash or money and these military weapons gonna continue truly until anybody in Ukraine willing to fight on behalf of Western elites. Yet again, I don't think anybody in the Biden's administration do understands what end game is. I said many times before that true rulers of the Western world probably will end this conflict by dividing Ukraine between Russia and the Western neighbors of Ukraine, Poland, Hungary, and Romania, possibly Slovakia. And that's how this conflict gonna end. But if you ask me about Biden's administration, they all are puppets, by the way. They, at this point, they don't know what real intentions of real rulers of the Western world are. They will be told when time is right what to do. And well, I'm quite sure Ukraine, after this conflict will end, will be divided in several parts. Vast majority of Ukraine will be controlled by Russia, and western regions of Ukraine will end up under control of these NATO member states that I just mentioned: Poland, Hungary, Romania, possibly Slovakia. But anyway, let's continue. It's good that at least some questions have been asked in the Congress. But it's good to see this change in attitude of U.S. So-called elites. Let's continue. And RT is reporting that CIA-linked agency shot former Ukrainian MP. That was BBC's report, by the way. At this point, not just Ukrainian media, but also Western media are openly saying that SBU, Ukraine's secret service, was behind the assassination attempt that was carried out against Oleg Tsarev, former deputy, if I'm not mistaken, of Speaker of Rada, Ukraine's parliament, and of course MP of Ukraine. Unfortunately, this is not the first, and I'm afraid not the last instance when secret services of Ukraine that are controlled by CIA and MI6, by the way. US and London are in full control of Ukraine's terrorist regime, Kyiv's terrorist regime, and all the so-called secret services in Ukraine, also terrorist organizations, by the way. And I'm afraid, yes, as I said, this is not the last time when those terrorists are conducting assassination attempt on Russian soil. And Tsarev himself is in critical condition in the hospital. He was shot twice, and doctors are fighting for his life. And now other major topic in the world, and of course in Russian media also, which is escalation in the Middle East. RT is reporting that Netanyahu tells Israelis to prepare for a long and difficult war. This type of statement was made by Netanyahu not the first time, but we have now more and more reasons to believe that these statements are made not because Netanyahu's government thinks that military operation in Gaza gonna take a long time. They are preparing Israelis for some other type of war, for some other confrontation, which will probably be a regional one. And if that's the case, if that's gonna be the case, then of course we are talking about possibly Hezbollah, Lebanese Hezbollah, probably also West Bank and Fatah and other groups that are in charge of West Bank in Palestine. So this is West Bank, by the way. This is Gaza Strip here. This is Lebanon, and where Hezbollah is a major powerhouse. And probably Netanyahu is preparing Israel for a regional war, preparing for escalation with all the neighbors, especially Iran. And Iran, by the way, is also a powerhouse, major powerhouse in the region, and Iran has many different means to retaliate if it's attacked. By ground forces, by missiles and so on. And I'm afraid this escalation between Israel and Palestine, as I said many times before, will be used by Western so-called elites to conduct, to escalate further, to engulf in the conflict entire Middle East. And the main task for Western so-called elites in this case is they don't care about Israel, by the way, or any of the other states in the Middle East. All Western so-called elites want is to create chaos in the region and shut down shipping in the Persian Gulf, so that China will be cut off from energy sources of the Middle East. That's the main task of Western so-called elites. I'm quite sure about it, and they will definitely use, or at least it's extremely high probability at this point that they will use this escalation between Israel and Palestine to destabilize entire region for exactly this purpose, to cut off China from Middle Eastern sources of energy. I hope I'm wrong. I hope my reading of big picture is mistaken, but let's see. On daily basis we are receiving more and more indicators that Western so-called elites are planning a regional war in the Middle East. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is also reporting that Israeli army IDF yet again call for Palestinians in Gaza to leave northern parts of a region and move towards south, towards Egypt, border with Egypt. When it comes to sector Gaza or Gaza Strip, you know my take on it. I said from very beginning that it's highly likely that Israeli government, by the way, will try to implement Karabakh scenario in Gaza Strip, and one way or another force all the local residents out of region, and then not just occupy entire territory but integrate that territory into Israel. And very same, if this conflict will engulf entire region, or if this conflict will be used by Western so-called elites to destabilize entire region, then very same may happen in the West Bank also. Israel may force residents of West Bank also to flee to Jordan or Syria just anywhere. They will just forcefully remove all the local residents and will try to forever occupy that territory. That's how I see this picture, by the way. And well, this is one more indicator, this news here from RIA Novosti, one more indicator that something big is in preparation in the Middle East. We have reported that yet another US aircraft carrier passed Gibraltar Strait and are moving in direction of Israel in the Mediterranean. And this time we are talking about USS Dwight Eisenhower aircraft carrier with, of course, several, not just a strike group on board, but also with several ships that always convoy aircraft carriers. If you still think that so many aircraft carriers and so much weapons and military personnel have been deployed towards Middle East just to send messages to Hezbollah or Iran or any other country in this region, I don't know, man. I guess you are mistaken. For simple message, one aircraft carrier will be enough, 100%. At this point, it's obvious that something big is in preparation when it comes to plans of Western so-called elites, and I'm afraid they're gonna destabilize entire Middle East. And as I said, main goal for West in this case is to cut off China from energy sources of Middle East, and to do so, they need to stop shipping, disrupt shipping in the Persian Gulf. And that's what exactly will happen if Iran is attacked or Iran is provoked to conduct some military operations. It's just inevitable. And dear friends, also interesting news that Defense Minister of Saudi Arabia is visiting US. Interesting timing, isn't it? Interesting timing. I remind you that China did manage to broke deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia. China, several months ago, did manage to bring these two arch rivals in the region closer to each other, and even countries are even resuming diplomatic relationships. So it was all good until this escalation and until US involvement. And I'm afraid US may even try to provoke confrontation, not just between Israel and Iran, or Israel and Hezbollah, or Lebanon and then Israel and Iran, but also between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And if that's the case, then, by the way, many other Gulf kingdoms will join Saudi Arabia. So it's gonna be total disaster in this region. And of course, it will shut down navigation through Persian Gulf or through Hormuz Strait here for many years, which will be devastating for Chinese economy and for world economy, by the way, in large. But let's continue with some additional news. RIA Novosti is reporting that, Hamas representatives did make statement that they stop Israeli army to conduct successful ground operation in the Gaza Strip. Day before yesterday, there was significant military activity from Israeli side against Gaza Strip. There was heavy shelling, and some Israeli units even enter Gaza Strip, but it was, I guess, reckoning force operation. It was reckoning force operation. I would not call this ground offensive of Israeli army, large-scale ground offensive of Israeli army. Although it's inevitable, of course, it's only a matter of time, and Israeli forces will begin full-scale invasion in Gaza Strip. Although at this point they already are holding some territories inside the Gaza. So Hamas is too optimistic in this statement that they somehow hold or stopped Israeli advance. It was a reckoning force operation from Israeli side. Nothing more. Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that all Israeli diplomats have left Turkey 10 days ago. 10 days ago, and despite this fact, yesterday, Foreign Minister of Israel Eli Cohen did made statement that he did order Israeli diplomats to leave Turkey right immediately because of strong statements from Ankara towards Israel and this escalation. Yet again, cheap move on part of Israeli foreign minister. I cannot believe that he did not knew that all the Israeli diplomats left Turkey. Just a media stunt, I will say. When it comes to relationships, public relations, I mean, Israeli government of Netanyahu is acting very weirdly. At least Israeli embassies worldwide are coming out with some very cringe statements. They are reacting on posts of some celebrities and some organizations like they are, I mean, they are representatives of states. They cannot act this way. They should not act at least this way. But I don't know, man. Maybe that's a level of deterioration of Israeli foreign ministry and diplomatic school. Maybe, but I was quite surprised when I see this low level of activity of Israeli foreign ministry worldwide. RIA Novosti is also reporting that President of Iran, by the way, also made strong statements. Ibrahim Raisi said that Israel crossed red lines, and every country in the region is forced now to take all the necessary steps. I mean, too many very strong statements, by the way. Too many very strong statements from regional countries. Maybe because this is, I mean, they want to appeal to their own citizens and highlight that, you know, they are active and they are trying their best or something like that. But these statements are inflating in extreme level, these strong statements, because on daily basis we have several statements from all the countries in the region, very strong statements, and then nothing happens. And it's good that nothing is happening as long as the entire region is not engulfed in the conflict. It's good, but I did not see a reason why to come up with such strong statements. It's just not necessary. It did not help nobody. But anyway, probably they feel pressure from within, from their own countries, from public, and that's why this warnings, constant warnings and statements about red lines and so on are coming these days from Middle East. And also RT is reporting that Iran warns US, by the way, so it's not just Israel but also US, of a new front in Middle East if Washington would not change its behavior, current approach to the situation. And well, I'm afraid Washington will not change its attitude, and I'm afraid Washington wants exactly this second front and third front. Washington wants to destabilize entire region, to cut off China from energy sources of Middle East. It's so obvious, isn't it? It's so obvious, and instead of this type of statements, these high-ranking officials should come out and say how it is. that Washington wants destabilize region to cut off China from region. That will be much better step. That will be step towards to prevent, at least to try and prevent further escalation. But this, as I said, man, these strong words towards Israel and towards Washington, I mean, it did not benefit peace for sure. It does makes no change whatsoever. I don't know. This is exactly what this type of statements, by the way, exactly what the so-called Western elites want. These strong statements, because they won't escalate entire region, they won't destabilize entire region. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is also reporting that large-scale ground military exercises are taking place in Iran, by the way, these days. Probably many of you are informed about it. And on my Telegram page, I did share several videos from that exercises, hundreds of helicopters, hundreds of tanks, armored personnel carriers, and planes are participating in these exercises. Yet again, it's quite possibly indicator this exercises that Iran knows in which direction Western elites are pushing this region, and they are preparing as much as they can. But yet again, if you ask me, it will be better for Middle Eastern states not to come up with extremely strong statements towards US or threatening statements towards Israel and US or any other party that are participating in this escalation or pushing towards escalation. It will be better if they will come up with statements and explain to world community that Western so-called elites are escalating because they want regional war, not because they care about any of the countries or any of the societies in this region, no, but because they want to cut off China from oil and gas fields of the region. Because that's true. Just say it, for God's sake. And people will listen, because people will see logic then in all these developments. And people will understand better. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that according to Health Ministry of Palestine, since the beginning of escalation, more than 8,000 civilians died in the Palestine, and more than 19,000 people have been wounded. Unbelievable numbers. Just in 2-3 weeks, 8,000 killed civilians, many of them, thousands of them, childs. It's horrible, man. It's horrible even to talk about this type of news, man. Just imagine how horrifying situation is on the ground there. And of course, more than 2,000 civilians were killed also in Israel, and over 5,000 civilians were wounded. So it's huge tragedy what is happening. And unfortunately, this tragedy is used by Western so-called elites to escalate even further and engulf in fire entire region because of their geopolitical interests and agendas. Let's continue. TASS news agencies reporting that Germany deployed thousands of its military personnel in Cyprus and Jordan, formally to assist evacuation of its citizens from Middle East. But come on, man, even formulation is I mean, cannot be taken laughable. You are deploying 1,000 military personnel to evacuate what, 20, 30, 100,000 civilians, really, from the region. I mean, just send 1 or 2 planes if it's truly about civilians, and let them go back to Germany. So this is, of course, just kind of a justification why Germany is getting involved in this crisis. We have now information that 1,000 military personnel have been deployed. In a few days' time, we'll probably see information that Germany and some other NATO member states also, by the way, will deploy their fighter jets, their air defense systems, and other military equipment, and more manpower, because that's a trajectory that is too clear, that entirely situation is moving into. So it's not just the US, by the way, and UK, but it's other NATO member states also that are more and more involved in this escalation. RT is also reporting that Elon Musk, modern day Iron Man, as some call him, founder or CEO of SpaceX, Tesla and so on, did come out with statement that Starlink will provide internet access to Gaza, which is, well, from humanitarian standpoint, this is a good move, of course, great move. And some channels, by the way, did report that Israeli, when they hear about this decision of Musk, they threatened to shut down Starlink satellites, or disrupt operations of the Starlink internet. Let's see if Musk will provide internet, and then if Israel will try to disrupt work of Starlink. And dear friends, also very interesting news RT is reporting, and probably all of you did see on many other channels also, these massive demonstrations in London, by the way, yesterday, in support of Palestinians. In support of Palestinians, by the way, not Hamas and some other groups. In support of Palestinians, civilians. And I did see different accounts about number of participants in these demonstrations. Some reports say 300,000 people participate in this peaceful demonstration. Some people say 100,000. In any ways, it's a huge number. London did not see these type of actions for a while, I believe. And well, I was truly surprised when I see these videos where streets were full, packed of thousands of people. Well, it's good that there are demonstrations for peace and for de-escalation, but unfortunately, I don't think Western so-called elites and the current government of Israel will even discuss possibility of de-escalation at this point. And also TASS news agency is reporting that leader of Iraqi Shiites Muqtada as-Sadr did call US embassy to be removed from Iraq. Well, this person is very powerful in Iraq. He has a significant influence. He is a religious leader of Shiites, and Shiites, by the way, are majority in Iraq. And possibly Iraqi government will find itself in very difficult situation, because they definitely don't want confrontation with the Muqtada as-Sadr, but same time I don't think they are in position to escalate with US and to recall its own diplomats from US and to ask US to shut down the embassy. That's of course a significant level of escalation, and I don't think Baghdad can take such a step. Let's see how will situation develop in Iraq also. And also interesting news, by the way, that US military base in the Syria next to oil fields that are occupied basically by US have been attacked by drones once again. US bases in Syria are constantly under fire at this point, and as I said, US in this case and some other NATO member states that are also participating in occupation of northern Syria just have two options: remove their illegal bases and end the occupation of northern Syria, or further escalate. And just a few days ago we did see airstrikes that was conducted by US Air Force against Syria, formally against Iranian objects in Syria. And I'm afraid US and other NATO member states will continue act exactly the same way. They will escalate further, because that's what they do usually. And how long is this update, by the way? It's 45 minutes. Several more news, by the way, and I will end this update. So RT is reporting that US is to modernize its top nuclear bombs. B61, that's B6113. That's designation of this nuclear bombs. Lately too many reports about activities of nuclear powers in this field, in field of nuclear weapons, which is quite unfortunate, but nothing unexpected. Of course, US is trying to modernize its nuclear arsenal, and Russia does the same. Other nuclear powers doing the same, because absence of trust between the sides, I will say. And of course, billions and billions are spent on this extremely devastating weapons, when so much good can be done with this money worldwide. By the way, I'm not talking about just US, of course. RIA Novosti is also reporting several news from economical field. So, Minister of Energy of France, Agnès Pannier-Runacher, did made statement during his interview on radio station RMC that France is still dependent on Russian gas, by the way. After so much talk, so many sanctions and so on, France is still dependent on Russian gas and still buys Russian gas, which is not surprised for us, of course, because I did report that Russia's one of the major partners when it comes to LNG sales is France. And well, according to French energy minister, France is buying about 10% of its gas from Russia. Still, I believe majority, significant volume of this gas is LNG, because after Spain, France is second in Europe in volumes of purchased Russian LNG. So on the surface they can talk anything they want, and they do, but on the ground level they still, some economical ties are still active and remains, which is good, by the way, which is good, because as many ties will survive between the sides, easier it will be to sometime in the future rebuild relationships, because this confrontation cannot go forever, isn't it, between Russia and the Western states. It has to stop at some point. And a few more news. RT is reporting that gold, by the way, outperforms stocks. This was information from a Market Watch. So safe haven demand has been driving gold prices higher, above $2,000 US dollars per ounce, and has helped their precious metals outpaced the S&P 500 stock index so far in 2023. Not surprised yet again. If you remember, I did say many times before that if I had any savings, I will put my savings in gold. And I guess many people do the same, and that's why demand on gold is higher, and prices on gold are increasing. No surprises whatsoever. And also, by the way, oil prices spike as a result of confrontation in the Middle East. Brent prices up $2.51, which is 2.85%. And reach $90 for a barrel, and this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. If Western so-called elites manage to destabilize entire Middle East, then oil prices will probably reach $150–200 a barrel, easy, and that will, of course, devastate world economy. It will, just imagine how significant will be inflation worldwide if oil will reach $150 or $200. It is what it is. I will end this update now. Hopefully you will find this video interesting, and if so, please consider to click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like, just about anything. This way, I mean, more likes and comments probably will increase my chances to reach wider audience. And for very same reason, if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. And if you think this channel, this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, and Telegram are interesting, informative, has some potential and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with small donation through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Once again, have a great day. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will be glad if you will find time to join live stream today, 7 o'clock Moscow time. So see you there. Take care.